First of all, Fitzy, congratulations. David, good to see you.
You too.
I'm going to start with you, David, actually, as to why this was now the right time for this to be done, and what is it about what Fitzy has done that, has brought you to this point?
Well, I think timing-wise, we're having a big party tonight. So it seemed like a good time to just, announce it. It's something, obviously, Tom and I and others have talked about for a while, and just in terms of just actually getting it done, there's no rhyme or reason to, today. But look, I think from my perspective, it's pretty straightforward. I still remember, look, I've known Tom coming up on 9 years now. I wish I'd known him for 30, but I'm at, coming up on 9. And I've watched Tom in a variety of situations, as you all know. And I still remember saying to Tom in the summer of 2020 that he was going to become interim GM, and I was going to be super excited the day that would turn into permanent GM. And when he turned into permanent GM, I said, I'm going to be really excited when we give you your next extension. And so here we are. And the reality is Tom's done an amazing job, both from the standpoint of taking his time and putting this team together the way he has. This is meant to build to last. And I don't just mean necessarily everything you're seeing today even. It's the systems, it's the people, it's the culture, it's the just doing everything in an excellent way and in a substantive way. He's really brought the organization to a fantastic place. And so as I have told him and continue to tell him, I'm really happy if we just keep extending it.
That would be great.
And Fitzy, to you, what does this mean right now? And to hear the words that David is saying about the job that you've done so far.
Well, it means a lot, especially coming from a person like David. I've grown a lot. I've got a lot more to a lot more areas to grow. But I'm always preaching growth mindset. I'm always looking for people who want to get better, people who don't always have the right answers but want to learn. And I think I'm a picture of that, because I came in here with a different look at how to build a team, through the personnel, scouting, playing. But when I have the resources that these guys have given me to make decisions, it allows me to think through things properly, bounce things off certain people, and then come to a conclusion that this is the right move for us now and long term. So I'm very thankful. My family's very thankful. I can't tell you how great my life is because of where I'm at right now, and I speak for my entire family. They weren't Devils fans 9.5 years ago, but now they're diehard Devils fans.
You mentioned growing. How do you feel that you have grown throughout these, last couple of years, really?
Well, I think we're a process-driven organization that, looks at every step, step by step. I can look back at certain decisions a decade ago where maybe they were more stomach-driven. This is what my stomach is telling me. There's a lot to be said about that, but when you can match, the stomach, the eye test to numbers, it validates really decision making. And I used to probably be a little bit impatient, and now I'm very patient. I don't want to be patient to a fault, but I feel like being patient has helped us make proper decisions, good decisions, from personnel and contracts and term and. Yeah, it's again, I'm dealing with good people. I have a great staff. I can't talk enough about my staff and how we push each other. It's disagreeing and debating, and at the end of the day, it's up to me to make these decisions. And having a staff that I have that can push each other to think differently and think outside the box and learn and get better. Like I said, having a growth mindset is something that I think is uber important for success.
David, one of the things that Fitzy has really done that we've seen over the years is being able to bring in people like Dougie Hamilton, a lot of guys who want to make New Jersey their home now. What does it mean to you as someone who, is at the top echelon here and seeing people choose the team that you have and the state that you're in as the place where they want to grow and make home?
Yeah, and again, this is kind of what I meant about, watching Tom really grow, both himself, but also in terms of the entire organization and the people that have been hired across the board over the years. I always think one of the very important traits of a great leader is somebody who's willing to hire great people around them. And Tom made the point, but being willing to listen. He gets the last word, but he doesn't need to have the first word and every word in the middle. And Tom's very, very measured, and he is listening, and he is learning. And that is a great, great sign from a leadership perspective. But I mean, look, I think Dougie was that big free agent signing, which was very important to the organization. We had some amazing young pieces, right? And so both bringing in somebody with that sort of veteran mindset, as well as being as incredible a player and a person as Dougie is, was fantastic. But, I mean, you literally go through it. I mean, you can go through 15 or 20 moves that Tom and his team have made, and they've all been excellent and thoughtful. Again, you're not going to get everything right. It's just not the reality, right? And what you try to do is be really thoughtful about your decision-making, intentional, deep analysis, not shoot from the hip, and Tom will make, and his team will make significantly more correct decisions than not over time. But you're never going to be perfect. And I think, again, Tom recognizes that as well. But the reality in terms of being able to put things together, starting with the draft, then with free agency, then with a variety of trades, he's used everything in his toolkit, really, that's out there, and being very focused on the cap, and not suddenly we look up one day and he can't make any moves because we're completely cap strapped, right? So he's really been methodically building this, as I mentioned, right, for the long term. But to have players that want to proactively come and play here is fantastic for the organization.
I guess, on a similar note, when you look at this season and the way it's gone, what, for both of you, what would you think that this team needs to add?
Well, I'm going to leave it to Tom on what the team needs to add. Look, here's the reality. I think we all know how incredibly talented this team is. I really don't think there's a debate about that. So am I happy with where we are in the standings? No, I'm not happy with where we are in the standings. But the reality is it's a very long season. We have 35, 36 games to go. We have a break coming up, which will be nice to get some folks back into the lineup. And I have a lot of confidence that we're going to see, a strong end to this season. But no, certainly not happy with where we sit today.
Yeah, and for me, it's hard to really evaluate when the number of bodies and quality bodies that we've missed, that we count on every single day. You look at last year's success and the number of games man's lost we had, it wasn't many. Not having having Jack, Dougie, Nico, Bratter in the lineup all last year. I don't know how many games out of the 82 they missed. Well, that's not real this year, but that's not an excuse. We do still have talent, but we've got to play. To me, it's all about how we play and how we can, create success by playing differently without the talent. We can't be the same team with Jack Hughes in the lineup as we are without him. We've got to manufacture goals a certain way. You look at last night's game, for example. It was a game that there was no quitting our guys, but we got goals right around the dirty area, and that's how we're gonna have to play. To answer, the top part of your question, my answer is never going to change, Ryan. I'm always looking to improve the team. There are areas that I'd like to improve, whether it's depth defensemen, whether it's looking in the goaltending market, just because we have young goalies that are put in this situation, and fair or unfair. I can't force teams to trade people to me, but my phone is constantly working and calling teams, and this is what we do at this time of year to kind of gauge each other's thoughts and interests of what they're thinking and what we're thinking, and if there's a match somewhere. So that's part of the process of being a general manager. It's always staying connected to the other teams and what they're trying to do, and really where they know we are at that point.
And you mentioned Jack. Just curious, the latest on him. Will he be attending the All-Star game?
He will be attending the All-Star game. Will he be on the ice for the All-Star game? That's unknown. He's excited to be part of that the festivities, be the captain, picking his squad. Will he be on the ice? I'm not sure. He's in a good place mentally. He feels good physically. He's improving every single day, and that's the most important thing. Time frame wise, I don't have a time frame.
Do you have a further clearer picture, I guess, on Dougie too?
Well, Dougie's definitely clearer than Jack. We know he's long term. You know, how long? I don't have that answer right now. I believe he's got an appointment here in the next few days, and then 2 weeks later, and we should have a better feel. 2 or 3 weeks, middle of February, on where he's at and what his timeline really looks like in real time from the start, from when he got operated on, how many months that'll be for him to be 100% back to normal and cleared to play.
And last one for both of you. Just curious your thoughts on your assessment of Lindy this season. You know, given the contract extension, what he's been able to do. With all the injuries.
Well, I've always said again, these are the players he's coaching. This is the call-ups and the players that are coming up and giving him everything they need. Thing I love about Lindy is his attitude never changes. It's calm. It's matter of fact. It's coaching. It's taking players in between periods, showing them video of, hey, this is where we got to get better. He's the same person he was a year ago. He's the same coach he was 10 years ago. He's passionate about coaching. He's passionate about teaching, and he's passionate about helping players get better.
Tom, what is your level of concern about the goaltending situation right now?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm cool with it. I want our goalies to play better, no doubt. But I want our players to play better in front of them. We still have some areas of the game that need to be cleaned up, that's a daily process with players and teams. Hockey's a game of mistakes, But if we can minimize the mistakes that turn into big chances, then we're getting better. We've got some work to do there. I'm in that coach's room every single morning, going through video and talking about systems and where were the breakdowns, how do we improve those breakdowns individually and collectively. Goaltending is the last line of defense, right? That's the last thing people see. Puck going in the net, it's the goalie's fault. But the reality is mistakes are made up ice, missed checks, odd man rushes, someone's not covering for, teams not being connected. There's a lot more connectivity that needs to happen for us to continue to get to where we want to go. And it's really a daily process.
I guess, will there be consideration on making a move there, and is that something that you're facing the pressure to? Well,
I told Ryan, like I've said, and I've said this numerous times, I'm looking to improve the team, and as we continue to evaluate past, the present, and where we want to go, if it's an area where if an opportunity arose that helps us improve our team, absolutely, I'm all in to try to do that.
How difficult is it to associate how your team's needs now versus who might be coming back by the end of the season, with the salary cap, implemented as well?
Are you talking about Dougie? Are you talking
just like in terms of you need let's say a defenseman, Siegenthaler might be coming back. How hard is it to assess? Do I get someone now versus who might be coming back?
Well, as David talked about, the salary cap is real. You've got to play within certain boundaries, and because of all the injuries, we've eaten up a lot of call-up space, and that's not something we envisioned when we set out to have some cap space that could accrue and grow to the deadline and be a bigger number. We had to use it. That's why we put Nosek on LTI, because we needed his money for a call-up. We didn't plan that. But you know what? There was an audible called, and we've got to make the best of it, and that's what we're doing. We've got some longer-term injuries that possibly could go on LTI. Like I said, right now, with injuries, there's opportunity. We've got a couple of younger players. Hitaka. You see Nemec. I mean, this kid, maybe he shouldn't be playing 22 minutes, but he is, and he looks good. And we're very fortunate to have a player like that. with injuries comes opportunity. So the next person, next man up mentality is take advantage of that opportunity before, if maybe there would be some depth changes. But right now, can't control injuries, and it's opportunity for people within the organization to get a chance to show that they can play in the league.
Yeah, I would just add a couple things. Number one, I've found over the years that one of the most difficult things, and I totally understand why you would ask the questions, right? But one of the most difficult things is predicting timelines on injuries. It really, for whatever it's worth, like, it's not like we know stuff and we're not telling you, And everybody wants some timeline, or they go and find some doctor who says, well, when I've seen this before, even though that's not my patient. And I'm always like, really? It's really complicated. And so there's scenario planning. Like, if this happens, maybe we have to do X or Y, right? But in a measured way, because you genuinely don't know. And I think, again, Tom and the team, injuries aren't an excuse, but I think we got a little lucky last year, and we've been a little unlucky this year on that front in terms of having to deal with that. And they're meeting, as you can imagine, every day thinking through some of those scenarios, if this would happen or that would happen, et cetera. He gets a call from me every once in a while on it too, and he's going to remind me, David, didn't you just give a speech about like not knowing timelines of injuries? But I ask him next week about A or B. But anyway, they're doing a terrific job.
You do have a couple of pending free agents, Dawson Mercer, Tyler Toffoli. Anything there in terms of conversation? Has anything been discussed recently?
Well, one's a restricted free agent, one's a unrestricted free agent. With Dawson, we have time. With his agent, he's a young player that obviously would love to continue to work with for the next bunch of years. So, again, I haven't had a conversation with his agent. With Tyler, I've had multiple conversations with his agent. I think we're probably going to sit down here at some point before the break or after the break or in the break, just to see where he's at, how, what's he thinking, where he's at, and then, talk about, is there a marriage here moving forward? I like Tyler Toffoli. I think he's been a really good ad for our team because of his professionalism, his winning pedigree, and, but it is a business.
Last one for me. You now have two titles, president and GM. How do you differentiate the roles, and if you do, what's the first thing you want to do as president?
Well, I when you look at the role, I'm the head of hockey operations. The president title distinguishes that right now. When I sit in front of our board and go through our team, I think a lot of teams that have presidents, they're the ones who do that. Whether it's sitting in front of season ticket holders, that's probably a higher up executive in certain organizations, and for me, that's all encompassing with my job. So, President of Hockey Operations, who runs the entire staff in managing, which is basically gives me direct correspondence with other managers. So it's just, I don't know. I just feel like I'm touching all that anyways, and I'm very thankful that I have this promotion, and I'm just going to be the best version of me in both cases.
David, Josh obviously added a significant property in the Commanders in the offseason. I'm just curious how that addition to his portfolio affects the hierarchy of this team. Are you now more involved with it than he is? Is there any change in the structure overall?
Definitely no change in the structure, just another fun team to root for. But no, nothing's changed at all across any of our investments.
David, this is a community night. This is a charity night. Obviously, we're focusing a lot of questions on the team, but this team is more than just what's on the ice. It's also in the community. The late Dr. John McMullen always said that he wanted the Devils to be part of the fabric of New Jersey. Where do you feel the franchise stands in regards to that right now, some 40-something years later?
Wow, so now you're going to start testing my memory as well. Look, I think the Devils organization has always had an amazing place, in the community. So state, city, county, you name it. And I think Tad and Jake and the team are the same way I think Tom is incredible at his job, leading hockey operations. I think they're incredible at their job. And I feel like this team is totally embedded in the fabric of this community. I think we rally around the community rallies around the team. The players, the executives, the employees are all engaged in various community endeavors. They don't do it because they absolutely have to do it. They do it because they want to do it, and they know that they're giving something back that gets magnified at the end of the day, right? Things that sports teams do just get magnified in communities. And so being able to, have a mindset, which is we want to be like that family in the community that is helping out and touching families' lives, both as it relates to, education and programming and getting kids off the street and into healthier programs and skating and having players go and show up at kids in the hospital. I mean, like, it's the effect that the organization and folks have out there. I think sometimes they almost underestimate it. So I'm very proud of the organization. Like anything, we will always take, ideas and thoughts and suggestions, because, of course, anything that anybody does, you always want to do it better, and the world's changing and communities are changing. But I think this team is A+.
Lastly, just to piggyback off of that, obviously we have Sweep the Deck tonight. What does it mean to you to see how it's grown for both yourself, for Allison, to what it has really turned into, especially with the Devils Youth Foundation, and how big and this event has become now? Yeah,
well, look, I mean, so I start with, again, the organization's ability to put on just an incredible event. So hopefully folks stay, and it's really great, right? And so number one, we're raising a lot of money for the foundation so they can continue to do great things and grow what they can do. And I don't know exactly, but I think we're over $1.5 million. Right? Yeah, let's wait for later on that. But I know we're over $1.5 million. That's an incredible amount of support that we're getting and that we're going to be able to deliver back. And the players are great. They're going to be out there curling and bartending and doing blackjack dealing, and the execs are everywhere, and our employees are everywhere. And so, watching that continue to grow has been great. And Allison's done a super job, and so has the entire board. It's incredible, frankly, the Devils Youth Foundation board, and I congratulate all of them on constantly pushing forward on how can we have more impact, right? And some of that is we need to raise more money, and some of that is getting more and more people rallying around with their time, with their energy, with their skill sets, you name it. And so, there's more to do, but I think they're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, gang.
Thank you all.